Good day, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching from. I welcome you to my channel. I'm Gio the Genius, and today I'm going to be talking about how I overcame lust and how the chains of lust were broken off my life. Now, it's been a long, arduous journey, and I give all the glory to the Lord, because without Him, I wouldn't be able to see the other side of my past addictions. So for years, I was addicted to, you know, like the dirty websites. Yeah, the dirty websites. I was addicted to masturbation as well, and it really took a toll on my body. It took a toll on my physique. It took a toll on my mental, emotional, spiritual health. It completely wrecked me. Now, this was an addiction that I had for over a decade, and it took every amount of strength I had to, finally quit, and I was in bondage. I didn't know that I was in bondage, but I was, every time I chased, that dopamine hit of, just releasing to the websites and, chasing that, sometimes that 30-second orgasmic high, which never lasted. But I was sold into false hope, that on the other side of an orgasm, that there'd be, that the bliss would last, but the bliss never lasted. It was fleeting. So every time, I chased that dopamine high, it would just be a huge rush, and then it would just come straight down. And then regret would hit, it would sink in, and I'd be like, why did I do that? Just why? Why did I do that? And I was deep in that sin for many years. And unbeknownst to me at the time, it brought on depression, it brought on anxiety, it brought on brain fog, it brought upon self-esteem issues. I hated my existence. I hated my life. Waking up in the morning seemed like an arduous chore. I hated my very existence, because not knowing, I was actually releasing and draining my life force, the sign of my vitality, the very essence of my being. I was draining it, not knowing the value that my seed had. When I think about it now, I'm like, what were you thinking? If only I knew the value that my seed had, I would have never wasted it. It took me over a decade to break this stronghold of my life. And, through a lot of research and, just the desperation of trying to get out of that deep sin, I discovered NoFap many years ago. And for me, I thought that was the light at the end of the tunnel, so at least I tried to challenge myself, not to touch myself and not to release for, I tried it for about like 30 days. And yeah, it actually did work. But then the temptations just came back a lot stronger, and then I'd end up, just going back to the same old habit again. And I was doing that for years. So I think the longest streak I actually lasted on NoFap, only by God's grace, was about 2 years. I've been getting to 2 years, I believe so, and that was just through sheer willpower alone. Yeah, at that point in my life, it's like I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. So by the grace of God, I was able to like be on NoFap for about like 2 years or so. But before that, when I tried it, like it never lasted. Never lasted. I would go for maybe like a week or two without watching the websites and releasing, and then go back to it because the urges were too strong. It was come back a lot more stronger. But when I lasted for 2 years doing NoFap streak again, I felt like, okay, yeah, this can actually work. It's actually possible for me to actually break this sin of my life, this stronghold of my life. But once I actually realized, the triggers that caused me to, you know, um, go to the websites and to release my energy, I had to really sit down with myself and think, why am I doing this? But then I realized the actual reasons why I was actually, finding comfort in the websites and in releasing, because deep down I was lonely. There was a hole in my heart that needed to be filled. I felt really, really lonely. I had no self-esteem. And I felt like I was just longing for something, that watching the websites filled temporarily, but it never filled me up. Yeah, so like due to frustration, due to stress, I wouldn't know how to handle that energy when it came. So the only way I knew how was just to release it, not knowing the powerful benefits that our seed has. It was unbeknownst to me at that time. I had no idea how valuable, um, you know, our seed really is. So it took me years to go through the struggle and to go through this pain of stopping and starting and quitting. So like every time after my 2 year no fact streak, then I happened to break it. Unfortunately, I released again, and I felt terrible. And then after you release again, then it's like you just tumble and tumble and tumble. You just go further and further down into the pit, you know. So I was just wrestling with myself, wrestling every day, just trying to break this addiction. But it was a stronghold that had me that had me hard, really, really hard. And it's like every time I release my energy, like a wave of regret and depression and anxiety will hit me. And it's yeah, and it really, really weighed me down. It weighed me down, honestly. And it got to the point where I had to really, really seek the Lord's face. I had to just go on my knees and ask God just to just to take this pain away. I want to do better. I want to be better. I want to live for you, Lord. I want to live the life that you have for me, the best that you have to offer me. I want to be of service to you. And what I'm doing right now, it's not serving me. It's draining me. So I really had to go on my knees and just beg the Lord for forgiveness, to forgive me of my sins, to wash me, to purify me, to cleanse me as white as snow. And that's all God needed. So yeah, it got to the point where I was just exhausted. I hated who I was. I didn't want to repeat the same old toxic cycles again, of PMO. I was getting tired of that cycle. And it got to the point where something in my mind just snapped and I had to just wake up. So yeah, that was 2020. Yeah, so 2020 is where I found out a lot more about the topic of semen retention. And, since then, it fascinated me because even though I knew what NoFap was, I didn't know there was another level to it called semen retention, where people were completely abstaining from all matters of release. To me, that was foreign. I had no idea that was an actual practice. But going deeper and deeper into the research, I realized that semen retention is just the default way that God wants us to be as men, to harness our sexual energy, to cherish our seed, and to use it to cultivate ourselves to become better men. So once I learned a lot more about this topic and did a lot more of my research, I challenged myself to actually embark on this journey and see for myself how much it would benefit me. And, since then, I've just been researching tons, just watching videos upon videos and subscribing to so many other, semen retention influencers who are talking about it and who profess the benefits that they've gone through. And since then, I've been hooked on learning a lot more about this practice. And yeah, it was 2020 is when I decided to embark on it for the first time. And I remember the first 30 days or so, temptation hit me like a brick. At first, I felt great, but then temptation sunk in, and yeah, it got to a point where I thought I couldn't, you know, harness this energy or actually keep this energy, you know. So it took me a while to actually get used to actually holding the energy, sitting with the fire, and not being, tempted to release it, you know. But I found out that the longer I went on, the easier it became. 30 days turned into 60 days. 60 days turned into 90 days. 90 days then turned into 6 months. 6 months into a year. And by the grace of God alone, because I give all the glory to Him, the fact that I can never last this long without His help, I've been on this journey for over 5 years now. 5 years. And I don't say that to boast. I don't say that because I'm just counting the days. I say that because God really broke the chains of lust of my life. No more websites, no masturbation, nothing. God has been good. He delivered me. He delivered me totally. Once I surrendered my temple, my vessel, this body unto Him, His Holy Spirit filled me and made it capable for me to actually go this long. So it's only by His grace that with Him, I'm walking in sexual purity. I'm walking the way God intended me to be, and the same way He wants for you to be also. So as I stand here on the other side, over 5 years deep on this journey, on an unbroken streak, 5 years straight, it's only by God's grace, because I never thought it was possible. Because the addiction, the way it had me in a vice grip many, many years ago, I never thought I'd be free. But by God's power, there is freedom in Him. So I give Him all the praise, I give Him all the glory. And I only say this to bring glory to His name, and to let all of you know that it's possible for you. What He's done for me, He'll do it for you. So if you're watching this and that you're deep in lust and you think there's no light at the end of the tunnel, that's a lie. Jesus is that light. Once you surrender to Him, He will bring you out of that sin. He will bring you out of that depravity. He will bring you out of that darkness. So trust in Him, allow Him to lead you, and He will truly set you free. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. But I will speak more on this. I will definitely speak more about the benefits that I have received personally after being on a 5-year unbroken streak of semen retention and counting. So if you found this valuable, make sure to stick around, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care and God bless.